Welcome to Pastor Andrew's Inspirations. If you like this video, please click the red subscribe button to the lower right of the video to receive more of the same. Today we will talk about the biblical city of Carchemish. Carchemish was an important ancient capital in the northern part of the region of Syria. At times during its history, the city was independent, but it was also part of the Mitanni, Hittite, and Neo-Assyrian empires. Today, it is on the frontier between Turkey and Syria. It was the location of an important battle between the Babylonians and Egyptians mentioned in the Bible, in Jeremiah chapter 46, verse 2. Against Egypt, against the army of Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, which was by the river Euphrates in Carchemish, which Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, smote in the 4th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah. Modern neighboring cities are Carchemish in Turkey and Jerusalem in Syria. Carchemish is now an extensive set of ruins, 90 hectares. 55 hectares lie in Turkey, the other 35 in Syria, located on the west bank of Euphrates River, about 37 miles southeast of Gaziantep, Turkey, and 62 miles northeast of Aleppo, Syria. The site is crossed by the Baghdad Railway that now forms the Turco-Syrian border. The site includes an acropolis along the river, an inner town encircled by earthen ramparts, and an outer town, most of which lies in Syrian territory. A Turkish military base has been established at the site, and access, but only the Acropolis, is presently of restricted access. Carchemish has always been well known to scholars because of several references to it in the Bible. Jeremiah chapter 46 verse 2, 2 Chronicles chapter 35 verse 20, and Isaiah chapter 10 verse 9, and in Egyptian and Assyrian texts. Its location was identified in 1876 by George Smith. Carchemish had been previously identified incorrectly with the classical city of Circesium at the confluence of the Khabur River and the Euphrates. While some early scholars thought that Jerusalem could be Hierapolis, Bambyce, that site is actually located at Manbij in Syria. The site was excavated by the British Museum between 1878 and 1881 through Consul Patrick Henderson, and between 1911 and 1914 under the direction of D.G. Hogarth. In 1911 on the field, there were D.G. Hogarth himself, R.C. Thompson, and T.E. Lawrence, aka Lawrence of Arabia. From 1912 to 1914, C.L. Woolley and T.E. Lawrence. While the last campaign took place in 1920 with C.L. Woolley and Philip Langstaff Ordguy. Excavations were interrupted in 1914 by World War I and then ended in 1920 with the Turkish War of Independence. These expeditions uncovered substantial remains of the Assyrian and Neo-Hittite periods, including defensive structures, temples, palaces, and numerous basalt statues, and reliefs with Luwian hieroglyphic inscriptions. Between 1956 and 1998, the whole site had been mined by the Turkish land forces. With the completion in February 2011 of mine clearing operations on the Turkish portion of the site, archaeological work was resumed in September 2011. Excavations in the inner and outer towns were carried out by a joint Turco-Italian team from the universities of Bologna, Gaziantep, and University of Istanbul under the direction of Professor Dr. Niccolo Marchetti. The second season, from August to November 2012, brought several new art findings and archaeological discoveries, the most remarkable of which is Katua's Palace, 900 BC, to the east of the processional entry. The third season, from May to October 2013, extended the exposure of Katua's Palace, retrieving a cuneiform tablet with an exorcism in the name of the god Marduk, as well as the ruins of Lawrence's excavation house in the inner town, from which literally hundreds of fragments of sculptures and hieroglyphic inscriptions have been retrieved. The fourth season started in May 2014 and continued through October 2014. In Katua's Palace, several orthostats, exquisitely carved with a procession of gazelle bearers, have been found. Some of them in situ, next to a courtyard paved with squared slabs. In the Neo-Assyrian period, that courtyard was covered by a mosaic floor made of river pebbles, forming squares, alternating in black and white color. Lawrence's excavation house was completely excavated during the fifth season. April to October 2015, more significant discoveries have been made in the palace area, both for Latte Hittite sculptures and Neo-Assyrian refurbishments, with tens of items, including 2 fragments of clay, prismatical cylinders inscribed with a unique cuneiform text by Sargon, intended for display, telling how he captured and reorganized the city of Carchemish, retrieved in a 14-meter deep well, sealed in 605 BC, at the time of the late Babylonian takeover. The sixth season, May to July 2016, saw a number of excavation areas opened, also near the border. Due to the added security represented by the construction of the wall, thus in 2016 a complete stratigraphic record was obtained also for peripheral areas, greatly adding to our understanding of the urban development up to the Achaemenid period. In the seventh season, from 7th of May to the 18th of July 2017, the major breakthroughs were the beginning of the excavations on the northwestern end of the Acropolis, and the discovery in the eastern lower palace area of a monumental building. Among the finds, in addition to new sculptured complete artworks from the Iron Age, fragments of Imperial Hittite clay cuneiform tablets, and a circa 250 inscribed belay should be mentioned. The 8th season lasted from the 4th of May to July 20th, 2019, and revealed a massive palace on the top of the Acropolis dating from late Bronze II period, exposing more architecture and finds from the late Bronze II administrative building in Area C East, and more of the Iron I storage facility in Area South, or Area S as they call it. Conservation and presentation works have now been completed, and the archaeological park at the site is finally open since July 13, 2019. Thanks to the support also of Gaziantep Metropolitan Municipality and Gaziantep Governorate. The site may be visited between 9 a.m. and 1 hour before sunset through guided tours every 2 hours for security reasons. Financial support has been received by the 3 universities mentioned above, by the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the Sanko Holding with the technical support also of Sahan Bey Municipality and INTA AS. Archaeological investigations on the Syrian side have been conducted as part of the Land of Carchemish project. Investigations of the outer town of Carchemish were undertaken in conjunction with the DGAM in Damascus, and with the funding and sponsorship of Council for British Research in the Levant and the British Academy under the direction of the late Professors T.J. Wilkinson and E. Peltenberg. The outer town area lying in Syria has been designated already before the Syrian Civil War an endangered cultural heritage site and labeled at risk by the Global Heritage Fund due to the agricultural expansion and especially the urban encroachment. The field assessment of the Syrian part of the outer town documented that parts of the modern border town of Jerablus encroached upon the outer town. In July 2019, a scientific visit to the outer town in Syria by the Turco-Italian Archaeological Expedition at Carchemish entailed the protection of the area from further encroachment by the sprawling town of Jerablus and by the facilities for trucks which were being built to the south of the border. The city council of Jerablus declared all the area enclosed by the Iron Age city walls a first-degree protected site, meaning the complete ban of any activity on it. In February 2016, a prefabricated security wall was completed by the Turkish army to the south of the railway, stretching between the Euphrates Bridge and the train station of Carchemish. The site has been occupied since the Neolithic and Chalcolithic periods, with schist tombs from circa 2400 BC, early Bronze Age. The city is mentioned in documents found in Ebla archives of the 3rd millennium BC, according to documents from the archives of Mari and Alalk, dated from circa 1800 BC. Carchemish was then ruled by a king named Aplahanda and was an important center of timber trade. It had treaty relations with Ugarit and Mitanni. In ancient times, the city commanded the main ford in the region across the Euphrates, a situation which must have contributed greatly to its historical and strategic importance. Pharaoh Thutmose I of the 18th dynasty erected a stele near Carchemish to celebrate his conquest of Syria and other lands beyond the Euphrates. Around the end of the reign of Pharaoh Akhenaten, Carchemish was captured by King Suppilulium, the first of the Hittites, 14th century BC, who made it into a kingdom ruled by his son Yaseli. The city became one of the most important centers in the Hittite Empire during the late Bronze Age and reached its apogee around the 13th century BC. While the Hittite Empire fell to the Sea Peoples during the Bronze Age collapse, Carchemish survived the Sea Peoples' attacks to continue to be the capital of an important Neo-Hittite kingdom in the Iron Age and a trading center. Although Ramesses III states in an inscription dating to the 8th century from his Midne Habu mortuary temple that Carchemish was destroyed by the Sea Peoples, the city evidently survived the onslaught. King Khuzitesep I is attested in power here and was the son of Talmi Teshub, who was a contemporary of the last Hittite king, Suppiluliuma II. He and his successors ruled a mini-empire stretching from Southwest Asia Minor to northern Syria and the west bend of the Euphrates under the title Great King. This suggests that Khuzitesub saw himself as the true heir of the line of the great Suppiluliuma I, and that the central dynasty at Hattusa was now defunct. This powerful polity lasted from circa 1175 to 975 BC, when it began losing control of its farther possessions and became gradually a more local city-state centered around Carchemish. The patron goddess of Carchemish was Kubaba, a deity of apparently Hurrian origins. She was represented as a dignified woman wearing a long robe, standing or seated and holding a mirror. The main male deity of the town was Kurhuha, akin to the Hittite stag god Kurunta. In the 9th century BC, King Sangara paid tribute to kings Ashurnasirpal II and Shalmaneser III of Assyria. It was conquered by Sargon II in 717 BC in the reign of King Isari. In 2015, for the first time, the name of Sangara has been documented in a hieroglyphic inscription originally coming from the site itself. The Assyrians turned the site into an important provincial capital. In the summer of 605 BC, the Battle of Carchemish was fought there by the Babylonian army of Nebuchadnezzar II and that of Pharaoh Necho II of Egypt and the remnants of the Assyrian army in Jeremiah chapter 46, verse 2. The aim of Necho's campaign was to contain the westward advance of the Babylonian Empire and cut off its trade route across the Euphrates. However, the Egyptians were defeated by the unexpected attack of the Babylonians and were eventually expelled from Syria. After a brief Neo-Babylonian occupation, the Turco-Italian excavations found evidence for 3 phases of Achaemenid occupation: a significant reconstruction in Hellenistic times, a monumental phase from the late Roman period, and an early Byzantine and 3 Abbasid phases before the final abandonment of the site until the early 1900s. Among the many artifacts recovered at Carchemish, typically of this territory, are the handmade Syrian horses and riders and the Syrian pillar figurines. They are clay figurines dating from mid-8th and 7th centuries BCE that have been found in several hundreds in the town. These terracottas were manufactured during the Neo-Assyrian phase of Carchemish, and it is currently believed they might have represented male and female characters performing distinguished public roles. This is the biblical city of Carchemish. Adonai Nisi, the Lord is our banner. God's blessings be upon us all.